What's up guys, CJ here and welcome back to another all-new video. Westworld's Season 1 finale aired this past Sunday, and after 3 days I still haven't fully recovered, but seeing as the finale left us with as many new questions as it answered, I've started to think about Season 2. We here at the Hybrid Network figured we'd make this video to recap what we know so far about the series' second season, when we might see it, what it might contain, who's going to return, as well as some of my personal predictions as to what might happen. And because everyone, myself included, is wondering just when we might return to Westworld, let's start with the premiere date. The exact premiere date is not yet known, however we do know, thanks to some tweets from Jeffrey Wright, aka Bernarnold, this series is targeting a return in 2018. That's right, unfortunately, no new Westworld for at least 13 months, but when in 2018 we'll see it remains the question. According to the Man in Black himself, Ed Harris, the show is set to begin production on that second season in June or July of next year. My guess is, with Game of Thrones Season 7 now aiming for a release date next summer, and assuming Season 8 follows the same pattern and production schedule in 2018, we'll likely see Westworld Season 2 coming out right around the same time it did this year, in the fall of 2018. As for what we know officially so far about what the next season will cover, if you're looking for more of the same jolly vacation park interaction, you might be disappointed. Showrunner Jonathan Nolan probably put it most simply: if the first season was defined by control, the second season is defined by chaos. That's what Ford has been planning all along. Those violent delights definitely did have violent ends, as we saw in that explosive final scene. The hosts are loose, and their uprising seems like it'll definitely be the major storyline in play during Season 2, and to that end, Nolan continued and hinted at what Ford's intentions were behind that ambush. Ford has set in motion what he thinks is a plan. The nature of that plan is something we explore in the second season, what his intentions are. Is it to let the hosts escape? Is it to teach humans a lesson? And this definitely has a lot to do with some of Ford's conversations in the last few episodes of the show, when it became clear he'd come around to Arnold's way of thinking and realized that the hosts were conscious, on top of his belief that the hosts were just far better, purer beings than humans. The second season will also heavily focus on consciousness, and while it was one of the central themes from this past season as well, it seems like the topic of that discussion has moved beyond the are they or are they not question the first season asked, according to executive producer J.J. Abrams. Season 2 explores what happens at the dawn of consciousness, what happens when we begin to wake up. Although some have raised interesting questions about whether the hosts are really even conscious yet or not, or if they're just taking part in Ford's new narrative, which would suggest otherwise, but that's just another thing likely to be explored next season. As for who will be returning, the picture is far less clear, but going off of who was left standing at the end of Season 1 gives us some clues. It looks like Evan Rachel Wood will be back as the now conscious Dolores, and kind of is the key to this robot awakening and uprising. Also, Thandie Newton's Maeve made a conscious choice to scrap plans to escape to the mainland and opted to go back for her child, so it looks like she'll be back too. While before episode 10 it looked like Jeffrey Wright's Bernarnold was done for, he was revived by Maeve and company and got to witness the beginning of the rebellion in that final scene. Couple that with his tweets and he'll very likely be back too. The Man in Black, though he was shot and surrounded by murderous hosts, seemed to be having the time of his life, and if Ed Harris' comments are any indication, old William isn't quite done for yet. James Marsden's Teddy will probably be back as well, as will Armistice, who we saw free herself in the brief post-credits scene. There are, however, three big questions though. First, the two humans captured by hosts inside the park, Shannon Woodward's Elsie and Luke Hemsworth's security officer Stubbs. While Elsie kind of ended up the Barb of this show, grabbed by Bernard and seemingly dead given some of his lines and interactions with Ford, there is a remote chance she could return. Hemsworth, though, is the real question mark. He was grabbed by Ghost Nation hosts, presumably some of the ones that have been sequestered off by Ford for his Escalante ambush. But where we got an update on Elsie's snatching, Stubbs is so far still very open-ended. My guess is that he'll be back for next season and Elsie will not. Second question mark is the status of Charlotte Hale. Hale was in the crowd at the ambush in the final scene along with the rest of the park's board of directors, but given Tessa Thompson's talent, name value as a rising star, and role in the series, I don't think she's done for it quite yet. Thirdly, Anthony Hopkins' Dr. Robert Ford are the only main character to be seemingly obviously dead at the end of this season, shot in the back of the head by Dolores. Despite the seeming finality of his fate, there are a few reasons why I don't think he rests in a deep and dreamless slumber quite yet. Again, and I'll be honest, this is a little bit of a fallacy as far as arguments go, but with an actor of Anthony Hopkins' caliber, who seems like an Emmy lock for his performance in this show so far, I hesitate to think that they're done with him just yet. As for in-show reasoning, one of the most popular fan theories is that Delos' secret research project, mentioned in the show's first episode and kind of throughout the first season, is how to make people functionally immortal by transferring their consciousness into android host bodies. One of the primary pieces of evidence pointed to in this theory are several Dr. Ford quotes, most notably one from that first episode in which he says, "Soon we shall even resurrect the dead, call forth Lazarus from his cave." Couple that with the fact that he had been building a body in that field lab over the course of the season, which was never actually revealed, and it could all add up to Robert Ford not being done playing around with his creation. While those 3 points kind of kicked off the predictions already, I do have a couple of other guesses for the second season. I think one of the most obvious things we might see as revealed in the season finale is other parks. We already saw some props and hosts from Samurai World while Maeve was making her escape, and that seems the most likely to make a full appearance given it's the only one we know about so far. The original 1973 film also featured a medieval world and a Roman world, so those two could be teased or hinted at or potentially even just fully appear if Westworld's hosts attempt to spread their rebellion to all of their fellow androids. Kind of in that vein, I think it's very likely as the only two fully conscious hosts, Dolores and Maeve will meet up at some point as kind of the leaders of this new uprising. And finally, as kind of a no-brainer, other hosts will awaken and become conscious, but at some point it will be heavily in doubt as to whether they're all really conscious at all or just still fulfilling a narrative and following their programming. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these predictions and what you think of these details so far. Are you excited for the second season? And let me know what you predict. What's one of your biggest predictions for the next season of Westworld? But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw and subscribe for more great content every single day. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.